Jikyo Powerful Pro Yakyu Basic Han 2001. One of 12 games for the Nintendo 64 that came out in the year 2001. Because of that, you would think that this is probably a really hard to find or even uncommon game. It's actually not. Now, for this game specifically, I believe this is somehow a watered down or simplified version of a PlayStation 2 Jikyo Powerful Pro Yakyu. And well, all 5 of these games for the N64, I mean, there's a lot more than 5. This whole series has been going on for a long time. In fact, it just got a new release on the PS4 and the Vita, like April 26th, 2018, somewhere around there. So, yeah, I mean, all 5 of these just kind of like blend in. I believe there's 9 of these on the GameCube, so that's kind of interesting. This one specifically, it lacks like this career mode that the other games had on the N64. You know, because it's basic, as it would say. Though it still seems to play competently and seems to be a potentially well-made baseball game overall. Okay. Here's a more exciting N64 game. I only have 2, but, yeah. 2 to show, I should say. Bomberman Hero. A very, one-of-a-kind sort of game for the Bomberman series because it's a full-out 3D platformer. And a pretty good one at that. The 3D platforming games in general are a genre that I feel like I could, get into some more, because most of those that I've played are Mario and Sonic ones, but here's one. The levels in this game, although they're short, they are interesting, and there's a ton of the levels too. To give them a little more substance, there's this whole scoring system where it's like, oh, if you kill all the enemies and collect all the jewels and power-ups and whatnot in a level, you'll get points, and then those points will in total end up to clear points. And I believe if you get full max out points, you unlock mini-games, potentially even some secret levels in this. But thankfully it's not mandatory, because if it was, that would feel like some really unnecessary padding. And it's just a joy to play, controls very, smoothly. The music's memorable. It's just a quality game overall. I'm at the end of the 4th planet of this game, and it quickly became, one of my favorite games on the Nintendo 64. Definitely worth checking out. And, it's kind of an interesting, fact that the game doesn't actually have multiplayer, which is, something you'd expect of a Bomberman game. But hell, you got 4 Bomberman games on the N64. So you got some, some interesting variety on the Nintendo 64 alone, and of course the Bomberman series in general. Alright, here we have FIFA Soccer 2003 on the GameCube. I got this, actually got this back in April, along with Triple Play 2000, and I say that because I got these both on the same day, and I ended up getting them both for 10, as opposed to 15, 10 for this, 5 for that, because, hey, the game store I was at just makes good deals. I wanted this just, kind of for shits and giggles, get a FIFA on the GameCube. I'm more so looking for FIFA Soccer 2002 on the GameCube, mainly because, I think that would make for a good watch-us play. It was the first FIFA game on the GameCube. We did a watch-us play of FIFA Soccer 64, which was the first FIFA on the N64, and also 2002 was a, World Cup year, and so is this. It's also a World Cup year. 2018, of course. As for this, it seems to play well, and competently overall. I don't know how it stacks up to the other FIFAs that came shortly after, or even the other versions, though I guess it's better than, the Game Boy Advance and PlayStation 1 version. Was the Game Boy Advance version even released? Did I even do my research? But, yeah, although it might not seem like a noteworthy or good purchase overall, I think it is. And the fact that, it's a GameCube game, makes it all more stand out than, say, getting the PlayStation 2 version. That's not hating on the PS2, it's just that, I sometimes have a bias towards, the GameCube, generally. Because there's not as many games on the GameCube, and when a system doesn't have as many games, it's, yeah. Speaking of the PlayStation 2, here we have Rebel Raiders Operation Nighthawk on the PS2. It's an air combat game, shoot down things, complete missions. It's also a really common game, so, yeah, how about that? The only reason I have this is because, my friend Fabio, he really freaking wanted this game because he has a lot of memories with it. So he bought a copy off of eBay. But he was impatient, so he actually bought another copy at the store, which is what he could have already done because this game is, fucking everywhere. So, basically when, the copy you ordered off of eBay came in the mail, he decided to give it to me, so thank you. I can't get into this game or any game like this. It's just not my thing. I'm trying to, of course, have variety in my gaming, years and whatnot, but I just couldn't care for this genre. I really couldn't, Give me a third-person shooter instead. That's something I could, be more welcoming of. Especially having very little experience with it prior before beating Winback on the Nintendo 64. And, here we have Ridge Racer 5, also on the PS2. This, I believe, was a launch title, or it was year 1, very early on, basically. And, I was really looking forward to this game because, because I really liked Ridge Racer 6 and 7 and 64 and Ridge Racer on the PSP. Definitely convinced me that Ridge Racer is definitely a great franchise. So I was like, oh, hell yeah, this is going to be great, right? Well, I'm sure it's a fine game and a pretty good, competent arcade racer. It's not giving off the very first impression. I'm not getting into the way the game's drifting mechanic is. It doesn't seem very intuitive or useful or anywhere near as good as any of the other Ridge Racer games. Now, sure, you could make the argument that this is older than 6 and 7 and the PSP one, but even Ridge Racer 64 was more useful with its drifting, and that came out the same year. So, frickin'... I don't know. They lock you out of a lot, too. You can't even free race or do any time trials until you win the very first race in, like, a Grand Prix mode or something. Which you would think, okay, that's, easy stuff. Well, again, because of the game's drifting and the fact that the first race doesn't go terribly easy on you, I don't know. I haven't been able to get anywhere near as far in this game as I would like to, or get into it nearly as much. I do want to keep playing, because, like I said... I'm sure it's a good game, but, that's just my 2 cents on the matter. Alright, how about some Super Nintendo games? As you can see, the Super Nintendo shelf has gone full. I've got my Super Famicom games down here. Now Killer Instinct here is, on top of here. But we're going to put Killer Instinct there. As you can see, now it's on top of, Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2, Wario's Woods, Mario Paint, Super Mario Kart, Yoshi's Island, and Super Mario World. But unlike all those games I just mentioned, we've got some more obscure games. Like this game, for example, GP1 Part 2. You would actually see this on the shelf of my Super Nintendo games in last episode. So in my quest to find enjoyable motorcycle racing games, I stumbled upon this, along with other motorcycle racing games on the Super Nintendo, like Kawasaki Superbike Challenge, Suzuka 8 Hours, this, and of course GP1. GP1 doesn't look very good, but this looked a hell of a lot better. And it was developed by Genki, published by Atlas. Genki, made various racing games of sorts. They also made Michael Andretti's IndyCar Challenge on the Super Nintendo. So, as for this, it's actually pretty good. It's a good well-made game. The AI is definitely pretty relentless, and again, it doesn't really go very easy on you. But I've had fun with it. It's definitely got some. There's just something fascinating almost about Super Nintendo racing games and just 16-bit racing games overall with the way, it handles the graphics and whatnot. Look it up and you'll see what I mean. Probably Mode 7, I don't know. Or some form of that. But yeah, it's enjoyable if not, again, a little hard to get into because of the somewhat relentless AI, but competent. Here we have Earth Defense Force, which despite its name, it has nothing to do with the Earth Defense Force series of games. And it's even more confusing because on the title screen of this game, it says Super Earth Defense Force. Now this is a shooter. I believe it's an arcade port because fucking everything's an arcade port. Just everything's an arcade port. Freaking, Gradius 3 is an arcade port. Pit Fighter is an arcade port, albeit a very bad one. Aquapazza Aqua Plus Dream Match on the PS3 is an arcade port. Video Pinball on Atari 2600 is an arcade port. Okay, I'm gonna stop rambling. It's a shooter, and it's a pretty good one at that. It's definitely got a very nice variety of weapons, though of course, objectively the best one is the homing weapon. It really makes this game. And best of all, playing it, I can just feel that it's actually going to be a pretty fun game to sit down and practice and attempt to beat, which makes it all the more better of an experience and just a game overall. It's a good shooter. It's a little more simpler than your shooters, but still a pretty good game. It's also common too, so not extremely dirt cheap, but it's common, so keep that in mind. Look out for this game. It's good. Okay. Here we have ESPN Baseball Tonight on the Sega Genesis. Now, there's a bit of a crazy, wacky story with this game, so hold on out. But before I mention that, this game was also on the Super Nintendo and the Sega CD. And at one point I actually was going to get the Sega CD version, but then somebody bought it at a pawn shop. And I'm like, whatever. I didn't think anybody else gave two shits about it, especially considering it was a smaller area. So why do I have this? I bought this for $2, so you know what? I probably would have got it anyways. Just because, hey, $2 for a Genesis game. Especially in this day and age, There are certain game stores that'll just charge obscene amounts for games, especially the sports games that nobody gives a fuck about. For the most part. So why did I get this? Well, okay. So, Twitch streamer Darbian. I've mentioned him before. He, whenever he's failing at speedrunning and whatnot, he'll generally say terms like the whiff and beefed it. And I once asked him, what's the difference between the whiff and beefed it? And he responded basically saying that the whiff originates from this game right here, ESPN Baseball Tonight, and he specifically mentioned the Sega Genesis version. It's basically what happens when you get, an out from, getting 3 strikes. So, you just hear a voice clip of somebody saying, the whiff. I don't remember who it was. I'm sure I could have easily looked it up before this video, but yeah, that's the point. And also in AVGN's Atari Sports video, when he talks about baseball games, you show a panning shot, or some sort of shot, of various baseball games, and one of them was this game. However, his copy was actually kind of in bad shape, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to get a copy, but in better shape. So yeah, that's my crazy, wacky story for getting this. It's actually, I kind of had fun with this. I actually did kind of have fun with this game. It didn't get very good reviews, and it's supposedly not a good game overall, but I actually kind of liked it, I thought that the way it handles the field, because it doesn't go, from an over, field view, everything, the field view is viewed from, a third-person / first-person perspective, from where the catcher is. I don't know, look it up if this sounds confusing. But it actually also worked, that also worked out pretty well. I kind of liked it, this game, actually. I really did. and it's multi-platforms, it's cheap. Just get it for that reason. It might be worth your time, even if, yes, there are more likely than not better baseball games for 16-bit platforms. Okay, so on the same day I got ESPN Baseball Tonight, I got this. Hot Shots Tennis Get a Grip for the PSP. Now, this is a newer PSP game. It's one of those that has this, like, thin, like, line right there, whereas, older PSP games, or some, because I think, like, maybe 2004, I don't know, maybe 2004 PSP games did it? I don't know, but in any case, older versus newer PSP games, as you can see by the way the logos look, one of them's longer, one of them's shorter. I like the longer PSP logo way the fuck more. I don't know why they changed it to this. I think it looks fucking horrendous, but whatever, nothing you can do about that. But just that little rant out of the way. This was the only other Hot Shots Tennis game that was ever made. Of course, you may know Hot Shots Tennis, but it was only ever these two, basically. There never was another one. And I feel like Sony's probably done, or whoever develops this, feels like they've done all they can with the Hot Shots Tennis games, who knows? There could have probably been one on the Vita if, Sony gave two fucks about that system. So yeah, it's, of course, tennis, and pretty good. It doesn't play quite exactly like Hot Shots Tennis, the first one. It's got a story mode, which I'm not sure if I'll get into, maybe one day. But, I played it for an hour, and it's competent, the music's pretty good, graphically, it looks very bright and colorful. It's about what I expected, a good, well-made tennis game to go. That's basically, it's pretty much everything I expected, and I don't have a ton much else to say about it, but the name, Hot Shots Tennis Get a Grip, yeah. Firm grip. I don't know. Here we have two Xbox 360 games, both of which I got kind of in early April. The second one more so mid-April, but ordered in early April. This is Tetris Evolution, an Xbox 360 exclusive. So this, of course, is Tetris. It's just another form of Tetris, not something I'm really in a rush for, because I have basically the Tetris that I need, Tetris games that I need, except for the N64 Tetris games. Like, playing this, I don't know, it's good, it's got a remix of the classic Tetris theme, though I'm not really a fan, though I kind of see what they're going for. You got your multiplayer, your different modes and whatnot, everything seems to check out. But the main reason why I wanted this game is that this game has some sort of nostalgia in the sense that when I took a trip up to California back in May of 2014 to one of my cousin's place, they had this game and me and my brother played it a little bit and I played it a little bit, kind of my really only exposure to Tetris of that year. So my kind of nostalgic memory, because I have a lot of nostalgic memories for, games that I played but didn't own in 2014, or games that I had in the mind in 2014 but didn't get. I was like, you know what, I kind of want to get this. However, looking it up on eBay and, like, stores and whatnot, it goes for, like, $20. And I'm like, well, yes, it's $20. I can get that. That's just fine. But it's like, I'd rather really spend that money on so many other games, even if it's just $20. But I found this for $5, so I was like... And even then I wasn't like, oh my god, look, I have to have this. Like, I wasn't really hunting down this game specifically that day, but I was like, okay, fine, I'll get it. So you know what? It's nice to have. For sure. And here we have Wartech, Seiko no Ronde, a name that is very interesting because I've never seen that much else like it that would have, that title, because that obviously sounds like an import. Seiko no Ronde. Now, I wanted this because I heard about it. I was rewatching Pete Doerr's Xbox 360 collection video, and he talked about this. And, the way he talked about it, looked it up, and I was like, you know what? That actually looks pretty good. It's a mech game, kinda, not like, say, Virtual On, but more so like, you control these mechs, you're flying high in the sky, and, shoot lasers to basically take down your opponent. Got health bars like a fighting game and whatnot. It's that kind of deal. And it's fun, you know, I liked it. I haven't put the time of day to actually beating it. You know, the arcade mode, story mode, whatever it is, you know, just kind of practicing around with various other characters. I gave one attempt at beating it, but didn't. A good purchase. I bought this off eBay April 1st, but didn't come till like April 10th or something, April 11th, but I didn't even play it till later, so yeah. It's a cool game. It's probably not in the most, you know, like, deep sort of thing that it could be. Like, the gameplay is not as deep as it could be, I guess, is what I'm saying, but maybe that's good. I don't know. I'm enjoying it. Yeah.